for meeting with us. Uh, and we very much appreciate your time and your insight in helping us better understand the workplace experiences of individuals such as yourself. Before we begin, do we have permission to record this interview? This information will not be shared with anyone else.
You do.
Okay, awesome. Could you please describe your job and day-to-day responsibilities at DePuy Synthes?
My job is a market access director. And what this entails is I call on health plans and national accounts to provide access for our accounts. I sell knee injections that will prevent for osteoarthritis of the knee. It prolongs or prevents knee replacement. And I work with clients that you would know, such as Humana, United Healthcare, your health plans that you get your medication through. I contract with them in order to provide that opportunity for you to get our medication.
Okay. I'm going to hand it off to Joey now, and he's going to talk to you more about ethical responsibility and corporate social responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah, so what does corporate responsibility look like in the eyes of DePuy Synthes?
Well, as you may or may not know, DePuy Synthes is a wholly owned subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson. And we fall under the umbrella of Johnson & Johnson, and you can certainly look it up. But we believe in the Johnson & Johnson credo that places basically our first responsibility is patients, doctors, nurses, mothers and fathers, and all those who use our products and services, which is different from most publicly traded companies where their shareholders come first and foremost. We design our entire portfolio, our entire credo, basically around the patients and physicians, just in an opposite way. So from a corporate responsibility, we all fall under this umbrella, and we work to stride that on a day-to-day basis. We actually have seminars and updates on a yearly basis of the credo and what we've done within Johnson & Johnson to reflect the credo, not only in our work environment, but also in our personal life as well.
Awesome. What does the typical decision process look like when it comes to making a major decision at your company?
The decision process is interesting because for me, I'm calling on national accounts, and the impact my contract will have on our portfolio can swing our gross to net profits, can swing our pricing dramatically. So I am the face of the company to the organization, but there's an entire team of people that will look at scenarios that from a finance team to a marketing team to a sales team as to if we get this book of business, right, which is very easy, right? So if I get this book of business, we make whatever, $500,000 in profit. That's fine. What does it do to the overall net process? What does it do to the sales? What does it do to the marketing? We have to look at every aspect of it. So while I'm the face, there's an entire team that will look at different scenarios as to if we offer this, what impact that can have long term. And with the way our pricing structure has worked, or the way it is framed up, we affect 3 to 4 quarters in advance. So what I do this quarter will affect third quarter of next year, which is hard to predict as far as cost of goods, how much things, the sales force, everything along those lines. So it's an entire team that throws up different scenarios that's trying to make the best impact for our organization.
Perfect. What are some challenges that you have faced, like when it relates to that decision-making process?
Internal customers. Sorry, hold on.
No worries.
Walking away from internal customers. They're probably the worst, trying to convince them or try to tell them what is right and what's wrong. And then from an ethical perspective, just walking away, having to walk away from a contract, or walk away after having our product down for so many years. We have to walk away, and we have to walk away due to financial reasons. And sometimes where I fail is that I don't convince internal people that this is the best opportunity, right? I mean, a little bit competitive. I hate to lose. So it's bad enough losing the competition, your competitors, but my internal struggle is probably the worst. If I had to compare the two, convincing, because not only are you convincing finance team, but then you're convincing senior vice presidents. It just gets a little bit convoluted. So that would be the worst, to have to walk away from a customer, or walk away from a plan that we've been on for a while.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I got one last question for you. What are
Yeah.
some of the key attributes of sustainability at DePuy Synthes, if you know that?
So with DePuy Synthes, we're a medical device company, right? And in order to keep up with the times and technology, we've kind of transformed what we are. So we went from a device company more to a technology company. So we've transformed how we're being seen in the industry. We still sell knee replacements, we sell hip replacements, shoulder, all those different things. But now what we've engaged into is the robotics and the technology that helps the physician. We actually launched a multi-million dollar, it's a robot essentially. And what it'll do is it's designed to do the actual operation for the physician, and the physician is actually controlling it. And what this does is it decreases the time for recovery. It's more efficient as to where it's cutting. The physician doesn't have fatigue. So they're transforming because of where technology is. And we're sitting right now in a Zoom call, right? Years ago, we never had that. Now we're going from a doctor, if you can think about it, unfortunately, taking a knife or taking basically tools that we have in the garage to replace the knee. Now it is basically going to be a robot where they program it and it's systematically to go through it, which is exciting and scary at the same time, because someone such as myself or a salesperson is actually controlling that that tool, and the physician is just there to essentially save the patient if things go wrong.
Yeah. Well,
So,
thank you so much for answering those questions. I'm going to pass it
absolutely.
over to Ty, and he'll ask a couple questions about organizational culture.
Perfect.
So how does being a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson affect the organizational culture of DePuy?
It has its pluses and minuses, right? So where the positives are, we're broken out into three segments. We have the consumer division, the Johnson & Johnson. We have the pharmaceutical business, and then we have the device business. So those three business make up Johnson & Johnson. So when we were in COVID, I shouldn't say we're still in COVID, but when we were shut down, the entire medical device organization pretty much went broke, because the doctors couldn't perform surgery. We couldn't go in, we couldn't sell our products at all, right? It helped us tremendously because consumer was up tremendously and pharma was up tremendously because people were taking medication, to prevent any kind of surgeries, right? So being part of that is kind of a good and a bad, where we had the umbrella in order to sustain our sustainability, right? Because we did not hit quota and or goal for 2 or 3 years, and being under that subsidiary, Johnson & Johnson said that's fine, right? The other two organizations will make up for the third one. So it helped tremendously.
Okay. Does being a subsidiary of such a big company affect your company in any negative ways?
To that point, right?
Yeah.
So that was the good. The bad is there's years where we've blown it out, where we are, pounding our chest and we've hit quota beyond all belief, but pharma may have fell short, or consumer. So overall, Johnson & Johnson goals didn't get hit. So if Johnson & Johnson goals don't get hit, we don't get the credit and or any type of accolades, stock options, whatever the case may be. So it kind of worked both ways, right? Where we're like, hey, we're up 150%, but overall Johnson & Johnson didn't make quota. Well, too bad. Well, 3 years ago, we would have. There's plenty of companies that went bankrupt or got bought. We would have been one of those that got bought. But as a result of it, we were able to keep on it. So it's the good and the bad, right? When we really blow things out, it's the organization that has to do well in order for us to see the money or the resources that we want.
And then I think you touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but does DePuy rely on or need Johnson & Johnson for any day-to-day operations?
Yeah, so we do, because that's where the resources come in, right? So when they do the budgets or the pool of money or any type of allocation that they're doing, it's through Johnson & Johnson. So could we stand alone? Yes. Is it great to have the bankroll of Johnson & Johnson and pharma and consumer to help us out? Absolutely. So it's kind of the sum of all parts. But yeah, we definitely need them for day-to-day operations.
Well, thank you. I'm going to pass you to Matthias, and he's going to ask a couple questions about how COVID impacted your company.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ty. The first one I have is, how has COVID affected day-to-day services and operations of DePuy Synthes?
It shut us down. It shut our procedure which is kind of ironic, I guess, to an extent, but like a knee surgery, knee replacement or hip replacement is considered optional. It's not mandatory, right? So by doing that, when COVID hit, it completely shut every surgery center down. So every surgery center was shut down. So surgery centers shut down. Our sales team couldn't talk to the physicians. Sales team can't talk to physicians. We can't sell product, right? So it completely shut us down to the point where we were trying to do different things with the physicians. We actually tried. We were going to come up with creative ways to send out like either a bus or some type of rental space where you could completely clear it out with COVID, and people would come in order to make, order to see the physician. And from a orthopedic surgeon perspective, they make money on surgeries, right? The elective surgeries that we're talking about, that's what I was looking for. Elective surgeries that we're talking about, that's how they make money. So, when you're doing 20 surgeries, whatever, a week, right? That's X amount of dollars coming in. It went from that to zero. So the orthopedic surgeons were trying to work with us in any way, shape, or form to get these patients in. But yeah, we were shut down for, there's no travel, we couldn't go into corporate office. It's just starting to open up now.
My next question is, how has COVID impacted or continue to impact organizational culture? An example may be moving to an online format in some scenarios.
Yeah, so for me, I'm out in the field, right? So I do not, I am remote. So for me, it was, kind of business as usual, calling into corporate offices and everything else. But for corporate offices, they completely shut down. And what happened as a result is they kind of realized to an extent that they don't need the big ivory towers and the big places to go in. And what they've done is they've kind of reformatted a lot of the buildings. They've downsized. They've let leases go out. And what they've done now for corporate offices, instead of being in there 5 days, they now need to be in there like 2 days. So it's 2 days on, 3 days at home. So it's completely transitioned and transformed how they look at it. I think it may go back eventually a little bit more, full-time to going into a corporate office, but they realize that sometimes they can be more efficient. Now it comes up with hangups because, fortunately nothing's happening right now as far as the internet and online and everything else, but there's been plenty of calls that people freeze up or, Zoom can't keep up with technology. So we have lost, conferences and, virtual meetings and everything else, but it's really transitioned and moved for the corporate people more to an online, or giving them an opportunity to work more at home, like 2 days on and 3 days at home.
Yeah, the hybrid schedule may be an example of my next question, but has the impact of COVID-19 brought any positive light onto new, more effective ways of operations within DePuy Synthes?
It has. It's allowed, from a positive perspective, well, positive and negative. From a positive perspective, it has allowed us to have meetings such as this in a very inexpensive way, right? So we are obviously global, and we've had China on, we've had Brazil on, we've had leaders on throughout this way, having conversations, which is a positive. The negative is as soon as you have that on, everybody wants to get in their word, and you talk for 45 minutes to an hour and nothing gets accomplished. Absolutely nothing, right? Or again, somebody working at home and, which I'm surprised my dog doesn't want to go out, but dog wants to go out or something comes in and it kind of distracts the entire thing. So from a positive perspective, it's allowed us to reach, foreign or globally, which is great. The negative side of it is, like I said, too many people try to get their word in or their platform. And as a result of it, one meeting that would accomplish something takes us 6, 7 meetings, which gets a little old after a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I had. I'm going to pass it on to Nick then for a closing question.
So the only question I have is there anything we haven't asked you yet that you would think help us better understand DePuy as an organization?
No, I think to look at the organization, if you're going to look at it and kind of summarize and do some different things, you need to look at it in a simple, in like maybe two or three different areas. One, it's an individual company that can stand alone, that's trying to transform and develop and be a market leader, right? So you'll see DePuy Synthes, you'll see Stryker, you'll see Medtronics, right? We want to be the best, right? That's one aspect of it. We then have an aspect of it from a medical device company. We have Ethicon, DePuy Synthes. We have 5 or 6 that we want to be looked upon within the region as one of the best known, right? And then the third is we represent Johnson & Johnson across all global aspects of it. So you look at it, like I said, there's like a three-headed monster, right? When I say I work for DePuy, I'm very proud of working for DePuy and the organization and what we've done. But then it's like, conversely, it's like, okay, but if you wanted some parts or wanted this, go to Ethicon or go to BioSense. But then as an organization, I firmly believe in what J&J stands for, right? So it's good, right, wrong, or indifferent. And we have 147 companies underneath the Johnson & Johnson umbrella, right? So we get a lot of good press and we get a lot of bad press, as you know, right? So I think just kind of looking at that whole aspect of it and understanding the dynamics that it's a small company within a big organization, and how you kind of look at it, interpret it, is kind of two aspects of how you want to maybe present it, right? Here's DePuy, but then from DePuy, he's got to look at a larger medical device. And then from there, he's got to look at Johnson & Johnson.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it off to Jack for a closing statement.
Yeah, so that's all the questions that we have. Thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us. Your responses have given us a lot to think about, and certainly contribute to a better understanding of the workplace experiences of individuals such as yourself. Thanks again, and goodbye.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day.
You as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
All right, just gotta end the recording.